Hey everyone, welcome to Lesson 1 of the MainStage Starter course. I'm really excited that you're here, and over the next several days, we're going to give you some practical knowledge and big picture concepts that you're going to need to know to find success using MainStage as your live keys rig. Now, if you're anything like me when I first started out with MainStage, you've already heard all the hype about what an amazing value it is and how it can take your live keys rig to the next level. But here's where I don't want you to be like me. When I first downloaded MainStage, I got disappointed, frustrated, and confused really fast. There were some big concepts that I was missing and problems that I just couldn't seem to overcome, and I didn't have anywhere to turn for consistent information to help me move forward. So that's why we've designed this course, to help you skip over all of those common frustrations and errors that I ran into and that we've seen tons of other MainStage users bump up against as they've been learning how to use MainStage. This course is designed to save you time and help you feel confident and actually be set up to succeed in just a few days. Now, my name is David Faltzgraff, and I'm the founder and lead sound designer here at SundaySounds.com. And we spend all of our time creating content, patches, and templates to help folks use MainStage in ways that are inspiring and easy for them to understand. So that's why I'm really excited that you're here in this course. We've kept the format of the course really simple. Every day you're going to get an email just like the one you got today that has a link to watch the next lesson in the course. So just click that link when you get the email. You'll be taken to the course page where you can watch that day's video. Don't worry if you happen to miss one of the days, you can just follow the next day's link, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and all of the previous lessons will be there as well. These lessons don't expire after 24 hours or anything like that, so feel free to bookmark any of these lesson pages so that you can come back for a refresher or review later on. We've kept the lessons pretty short, no longer than 15 or 20 minutes, and each lesson just contains one or two big concepts so that you can apply them along the way and retain most of this information. So, one last thing before I turn around and we jump into Lesson 1. We've also designed a Facebook group of MainStage users called the Sunday Sounds Insiders Facebook community. And this is a place full of thousands of MainStage users who have either been where you are or might even be where you are now. There are people going through the course at the exact same time as you. So if you have questions about anything that's covered in any of these lessons, the best place to get answers to your questions from myself, somebody on the Sunday Sounds team, or another MainStage user is in the Sunday Sounds Insiders Facebook group. So really quickly, before we jump into Lesson 1, I want you to scroll down the page right below this video, and there's a link to request to join the Sunday Sounds Insiders group. So pause the video, click that link, request to join, and then jump back over here. All right, I'm assuming that you either did that or you completely ignored me. That's totally fine either way, and we're going to jump into Lesson 1 now. I'm going to turn around and we'll do a screen share so that you can see what I see, and we're going to talk about some of the equipment that you need, how to get things connected, and a couple of the big concepts of how MainStage works that are going to be really important for you to understand before we move on in the rest of the course. Let's get started. All right, folks, so we're now over to the screen share so that you can see what I'm looking at. And in Lesson 1, to start off, we're just going to talk about the very basics where you can download MainStage 3 from. It's just going to take a second. So you actually download MainStage from the Apple App Store on your computer. So if you don't know how to open the App Store, you go to Spotlight here, type in App Store, and it would appear on screen. You can just click on that and Applications, and it open right up. So I've got it open here. And then within the App Store, you'd search for MainStage. It'd bring you to this page, and you just click Buy, enter your Apple ID password. It'd be about $30. As of the time of this video, it's $30. And then it would download to your computer. It'll take a little bit of time because it's a decent sized download. So you've got it on your computer, but what if you don't already have a computer? What if you're searching for buying a Mac, or you have an old Mac and you like to buy a new one? Well, there's all sorts of variables to consider there, and it can be really complicated to cut through because there's all sorts of different factors like the amount of RAM, the type of hard drive, how old the computer is. There's so many things, and we didn't want to chew up all of this video talking about all of those variables. So what I want to refer you to is the Gear Finder tool on our website, sundayssounds.com/gear-finder, or you can just click the link right below this video and it's going to take you right there, and you're just going to want to click on the computers section of the Gear Finder. And it's going to give you several places where you can buy Macs online, links to actual stores where you can buy. You can buy direct from Apple, you can buy a refurbished Mac, or you can buy from a third-party website that is reputable. We've got recommendations for you there no matter what your price point is, and we're going to talk about some of those important things like RAM, the CPU speed, the amount of space on the hard drive, and things like that. But we didn't want to waste a bunch of time, not waste, but we didn't want to chew up a bunch of time in this video because I know that some of you will already own Mac computers, but if you don't, or if you're looking to upgrade, then definitely check out the Gear Finder on our website. Now, the one thing that I want to talk about is that MainStage in the App Store doesn't do a good job of listing the minimum system requirements to run MainStage. That's because MainStage and Logic Pro share the same internal guts. Logic Pro is Apple's flagship recording software, and MainStage features the same presets and audio processing, but just designed for live performance in sort of a slimmed down package. And so when you try to find MainStage's system requirements, you end up having to click through several links, and you end up at this page here on the screen for Logic Pro's minimum system requirements. So rather than walk you through all the links you have to click, we just got the direct link for you right below this video underneath the Gear Finder link. So if you want to know what the current minimum system requirements are, just in case they've changed, don't just trust what you see on the screen here. Actually follow that link and make sure that you have the minimum system requirements. And then also make sure to note that while these are the minimum system requirements, they don't mean that this is the you're going to be able to do everything you want system requirements. For example, 4 gigabytes of RAM is the minimum required to use MainStage, but I've run into a lot of folks who hit limitations on what they can do pretty quickly when all they have is 4 gigs of RAM. So I generally recommend at least 8 gigs of RAM. And more of that information is in the Gear Finder tool on the website, as well as some more information about the Apple Mac Store and the different options there, the certified refurbished store, and then a third-party website that I really recommend is macofalltrades.com. One thing that I want to talk about really quickly, if you're on a really tight budget, macofalltrades.com sells these 13-inch MacBook Pros, and you want to click on Glossy here, and these are going to be 2012 or later MacBook Pros. And why would you want to buy a 5 or 6 year old computer or more? Because the MacBook Pros that were made in 2012 or earlier were actually upgradable by you, the end user, the owner. You could actually purchase RAM for a lot less than you'd have to pay from Apple and install it in your computer. And it's really easy to do. It's really simple to do. So with an older computer like this, one of these mid-2012s or earlier, you can actually get a really great computer for a lot less money. So for example here, we have a MacBook Pro 2012 that has a pretty decent processor speed. It has a 500 gigabyte hard drive, which is a good sized hard drive, and only has 4 gigabytes of RAM. But it supports up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it's only $500 right now. So you could purchase 16 gigabytes of RAM for about $100, and you could install it in here, and then for $600 you'd have a system that was totally capable of running MainStage. Before I bought this new 15-inch MacBook Pro, I used a mid-2012 13-inch MacBook Pro with only 8 gigabytes of RAM. I never even upgraded to 16 gigabytes, and I was able to run everything I wanted to do in MainStage on that mid-2012, and I did that for about 4 years with great results. So if you're on a tight budget, I don't want you to feel like there's no way possible that you could use MainStage. You just kind of need to know about these really great used options that are available. So we've got more information on this specific sort of niche model in the Gear Finder, but you can also check out everything else that's on there. And just to compare, you can get really similar specs here. This is going to be $600 after you put the RAM in, compared to a certified refurbished here. On the low end, you're looking at $1,500 or more. Now, you know, it's a used machine, so you might not get as much longevity out of it, might not last you as many years as a newer model would. So you've got to weigh the pros and cons. And again, we talk about that more in the Gear Finder. Okay. So I'm going to minimize this here. So we're going to assume that you've downloaded MainStage. So then you're going to open it up. Either it'll be on your toolbar, or you can just search for MainStage 3. I've already got it open here. All right, so when you first open MainStage, it's most likely going to immediately start downloading what it calls the Essential Sound Library. This is about 6 gigabytes of data. It can take some time depending on the speed of your internet connection. But this is what sort of MainStage has determined is the essential stuff that you absolutely can't do without in order to use MainStage. And then after that, it's going to open up a little concert browser like this, where you can see the different types of concerts that are available to MainStage. So you can click on whichever one you want. I'm going to open up the Keyboard Minimalist concert here. And it's going to take that a second to load. So while this is loading, we're going to talk about the type of hardware that you need. This is a really important concept. So the important thing to think about, or the concept to understand, is that your computer, when you use MainStage, is acting as the brain. The brain needs to be told what to do, and it's told what to do by your MIDI controller or your hardware keyboard that is connected to your computer. And it's connected over a protocol called MIDI. The important thing to understand is that MIDI is not audio. MainStage doesn't function like a guitar plugged into a pedal board. There's no audio going through MainStage that's being changed, processed, or turned into a synth sound. You don't plug the audio output of your keyboard into MainStage and then it makes it sound like an organ. What all you're sending to MainStage is a bunch of ones and zeros, just data in the form of MIDI, which is this standard, like you've heard of HTML on a website. Well, music software and hardware keyboards use this language called MIDI that just sends a bunch of ones and zeros. And you can see it right up here at the top when I open this concert in the MIDI in. When I hit middle C, MainStage receives a C3, and then it receives how hard I pressed that note. And then when I release, it says off. That's all that MIDI is. It's just a bunch of ones and zeros and note values. That's how MIDI works. So, in order to get connected to your computer, you need a way to connect your MIDI hardware. And you can check out the MIDI section of the Gear Finder tool for all sorts of different ways that you can connect. A lot of modern keyboards or MIDI controllers can connect directly over USB, which is really nice and convenient, but you can use almost any keyboard manufactured after the mid-1980s because most all of those keyboards are going to have a MIDI out port on the back. And you can purchase an inexpensive cable that just plugs into the back of your keyboard and then translates that MIDI data into a USB that you can plug into your computer. You can get those for as little as $10 on Amazon. They're really simple and easy to use. Most of them are plug and play. So even if you have an older hardware keyboard, no matter what the brand, if it has a MIDI out on the back, it's like a little round port, then you're going to be able to use it with MainStage, which is really great because you don't need to buy necessarily an expensive top-of-the-line MIDI controller to get started with MainStage. You can use almost any keyboard. So that's the inside, and that's going to control the brain, which is MainStage. Then you have to figure out how to get your audio out of MainStage. So you have MIDI in to MainStage, which is the brain, and then audio out of MainStage, out of your computer, into your soundboard or your headphones or your studio monitors. And there's all sorts of different ways, again, that you can connect out of your computer. But the very first time you connect to MainStage, I really recommend just plugging in a pair of headphones into the headphone jack. Because then, if you don't hear anything, you know that you don't have an audio connection problem unless your headphones are broken. Make sure you use working headphones. But you know that you don't have an audio problem. You have a connection problem earlier on, like your MIDI controller or your old keyboard isn't actually connected to your computer properly. Maybe the cable is bad or the keyboard isn't turned on. There's all sorts of things that it could be, but you know that you don't have an audio problem. So the very first time you connect to MainStage, I really recommend just using a pair of headphones plugged into the headphone jack. And then when you go to actually perform live, there's all sorts of different things you can do. You can use the headphone jack itself with a little splitter cable. We've got a link to that option on the Gear Finder, or you can use something like an audio interface, like what I have right here. This connects to my computer. Whoops. This connects to my computer over USB, plugs right in, and then on the back of it, it has some instrument outputs that I can plug into my soundboard. Or into a direct box and then send to the soundboard. So I really recommend using an audio interface as you grow as a MainStage user because it separates this audio, your MainStage audio, from the notifications and the system sounds that your regular computer might have. So it gives you some more reliability there, and you can actually get a little bit more responsiveness and audio quality from using an audio interface. But we've got all sorts more information on the different ways you can get audio out of your computer over in the Gear Finder. So I'm not going to talk about that anymore. But right now, got this MainStage concert open here, and if I've got my keyboard connected correctly, then I'm able to play this electric piano. Right there. So that works, and I'm able to use my sustain pedal that I have connected to the keyboard. Just like that. If you want to, right away, this is what I generally recommend doing, is just go ahead and install all of the additional sound library content that MainStage comes with so that you can explore everything that's there. And we're going to get into some of that content later on in this course, so you might go ahead and download it now so that you don't have to download it later when you get the next lesson. So to do that, you'd go to MainStage 3 here at the top, hit Preferences, or I'm sorry, you go down to Sound Library. And the quickest way to do this is just hit download all available sounds. And this is a pretty big download, 51 gigabytes of data, and it's going to take a long time. If you're short on hard drive space and you don't want to download it all, then you can click Open Sound Library Manager, and you can choose the elements that you want to install. So you might just grab what sounds interesting to you, and then you can always go back and install more or uninstall some later. So after you've downloaded all of the available content or whatever you've chosen to download, the last thing I'm going to talk about in today's lesson is what we are in right now. We chose to open the Keyboard Minimalist Concert. I'm going to close this concert back out by hitting the red X, and it's going to open up the concert browser again in MainStage. The concert browser is like this. And so all of these represent a concert, and a concert is just a collection of all of the decisions that you've made, all of the sounds that you've created, hardware that you've chosen to connect, and anything that you've done within MainStage is all contained within a concert. There's no limit to the number of concerts you can have, but you can only use one concert at a time to perform. So MainStage comes with some already put together for you, but then you can actually design concerts of your own that are fully customized to whatever you'd like. So I've got some of my own concerts here down in All Concerts. But for the purpose of this course, we're going to start off with a Keyboard Minimalist Concert because it's nice and simple. So between today and tomorrow, if you want to sort of poke around and see more of what MainStage can do, you can check out these other concerts. You can click the keyboard concert or the synthesizers concert. That's pretty fun. Or you can go to Quick Start and just choose keyboard and hit choose. And this is going to load up some pre-designed sounds that MainStage comes with. Some of them are a bit cheesy, but some of them are pretty cool as well. So while you wait for tomorrow's lesson to come in, you can check these out. Now when you open one of these concerts, it might open up in a big screen like this. This is called Perform Mode. This is like a zoomed in view on the essentials that are a part of a MainStage that you want to actually use when you perform. So you can click through the different options here, or you can use up and down on your keyboard. But if you want to get back to the zoomed out view, you can just hit Escape or click this X in the top left corner, and that's going to bring you over to this page where you can start to click around. So don't be afraid to tweak any of these or just explore all the different sounds that are included. You can see that this Quick Start concert has 51 different presets that you can check out. So, all right, that about wraps it up for Lesson 1. You're not going to want to miss Lesson 2 tomorrow because we're going to start to explain how you can create sounds within MainStage. MainStage comes with some really amazing sounds, and we're going to show you how to begin to sift through them tomorrow and express your creativity. If you have any questions about anything we cover in today's lesson, don't forget to head over to the Sunday Sounds Insiders group and ask your question there. It's the quickest way to get an answer. The link is right below this video. After you join the group, feel free to post over in there, sharing a little bit about your experience, what you're hoping to achieve with MainStage. I'd absolutely love to connect with you over in that group, and there's tons of other folks there who really enjoy having you be a part of the community as well. Other than that, just make sure you check your email inbox tomorrow for the link to Lesson 2. We'll see you then.